It is absolutely extraordinary that companies think that they can get our DNA in this way and then go on and sell it for monetary purposes, not for health purposes. Otherwise, they wouldn't be selling it, would they? They would just be giving it for medical research, but without our permission. This company has my daughter's DNA because she was legally required to get this test, and they didn't ask my permission, and they're going to attempt to sell her DNA. That's an absolute outrage.
It is an absolutely staggering breach of privacy and a breach of trust. I mean, as you said, there's no data more sensitive or more personal than your DNA and your children's DNA. I mean, it appears from the privacy policy where this information was buried, in a 5,000 word policy that, probably no one's read until now, that even children's DNA doesn't have any safeguards or protection, and it's being stored potentially indefinitely, used for research or sold to third parties. Without meaningful consent or even knowledge. So it's a staggering violation, and it's absolutely disastrous for public trust at this point.
Well, indeed, and especially if people have been required to get these tests legally, so it's not even they've done them because I just feel like getting my child tested. We've had issues over police DNA databases where people's DNA has been taken and kept, even though they're perfectly innocent, but that's sitting there in a database. Wasn't there a decision that actually it had to be destroyed because there was no right for the police to keep it? How on earth could these organisations keep our DNA when the police can't?
I mean, it is likely to be unlawful, and that's why the Information Commissioner is investigating. I hope they take it extremely seriously, because in a pandemic, there is nothing more critical than people trusting the testing. I mean, understandably, this could lead to people having second thoughts about taking these tests. I can see why people be worried about what's going to happen to their most sensitive information. And as you rightly pointed out, the reality is that many people had no choice but to take these tests. There were threats of fines of up to £10,000 if you were travelling from abroad, and some people had no choice but to travel during this time. So the government is not keeping up their end of the bargain here. If you're going to take this kind of coercive, punitive approach towards testing, where you're holding these massive fines over people's heads, but at the same time you're not working with trusted suppliers who they've checked out the privacy policy, they've checked out how they're using this data. The government has a responsibility here too, and they've really let everyone down.
And let's be honest, it's not like these companies haven't made enough money out of us already. It's bad enough that the government didn't insist that there was a price cap on these tests. I mean, again, other countries, they're free. In France, the tests, if you travel, they could, if it's vital for the nation's health, then these tests should be free at the point of use. But they were allowed to make extraordinary profits and profiteering. I mean, which should be illegal in these sort of situations when it's something required. And the government allowed that to happen. And if they allow them to make further money using our DNA, and again, that DNA, I mean, is that going to be sold anonymously, or is some random company going to have my child's DNA and be able to identify her via it? I mean, these are serious privacy issues, aren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, it's particularly galling for many people. They've had to pay for the privilege of having DNA stored. Not only are they stolen. Yeah, exactly. They're having, this kind of database of DNA is worth, potentially billions of pounds. So they've made money twice here from, millions off of these tests. Absolutely. And then potentially selling this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, all I can say is if there are any lawyers listening, if you want to start a group civil action against this company, I'm very happy to take part. I'm absolutely furious about this. Madeline Stone from Big Brother Watch, thank you very